Welcome to Teen V. I'm Paul Vettier. NBC Nightly news anchor Brian Williams will be off the air for 6 months. Network officials announced Tuesday evening that Williams will be suspended without pay and that Lester Holt will fill in as a substitute. NBC has been under pressure to fire Williams for telling different versions of a story about his wartime experience in Iraq that later proved to be untrue.
The TV industry is transfixed by what is an extraordinary scandal at NBC, imperiling the face of the network's news division, Brian Williams.
Brian Williams admitting he misremembered a story about coming under fire in Iraq. Now, critics are scrutinizing more of his reporting.
Williams said he had been in a helicopter in the 2003 war in Iraq that took on enemy fire.
2 of our 4 helicopters were hit by ground fire, including the one I was in. No kidding. RPG and AK-47.
Military officials contradicted that account, and Williams later clarified that he had been behind the helicopter that had been fired upon. But as people noted, even that explanation was troublesome because Williams' helicopter was an hour behind the one that got hit. After the incident, media critics began calling for Williams' termination, saying that as the face of NBC, he no longer has any credibility. New questions are also being raised about Williams' reporting on Hurricane Katrina. His coverage of the hurricane helped launch his career as the face of NBC. In an internal memo on NBC's decision, Steve Burke said that he and NBC are hopeful Williams will be able to return to the news desk and that Williams deeply regrets the incident. We asked for people's opinions on NBC's decision to suspend Williams without pay and whether or not he should be allowed to return.
I'm sure the people that had to make the decision struggled with it, but it's the right call.
I understand why NBC suspended Brian Williams. However, I think it's really unfortunate.
I think it's pretty extreme.
I think it's a very good idea.
I think it was fair. It certainly was harsh.
He's in a public position. He's probably one of the best known television journalists in the world, and he did something that's basically forbidden. You can't exaggerate, you can't embellish. You just have to report what you know to be true.
Did he embellish stories? Probably. But it's very interesting that on the internet people are talking about trust and credibility. He reads the news. I mean, I don't look to Brian Williams for the truth. And let's face it, the media got the Iraq war wrong. If you really want to go after credibility, why don't you go after some of the reporters who reported that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq?
People have done worse and have not been persecuted or punished. And I think this is a little extreme.
Obviously, it was a mistake on his part. He's admitted it, but we really have to have honesty in reporting. And things have just really gotten out of hand with Fox News and the trumped-up stories. So I think, unfortunately, Brian's going to pay for it, but I think it's a good lesson for news people and all of us in general.
I think it needed to send a message that truth in media, especially in news reporting, is essential. And I believe he did break the public's trust with his exaggerations. But having said that, I believe that making it a temporary suspension was the right thing.
Yeah, I do. Yes, for the same reason. I believe he's being persecuted and other people have done worse things.
If it were my choice, I would let him. I suspect that it will largely depend on what reaction is. I think the media landscape has changed a lot because of social media, and I think some of it will depend on what snowball is there. There's also this sort of thing out there about New Orleans and what may or may not have happened in New Orleans. I don't know that there's any way to prove or disprove what he said about what happened in New Orleans, so that one may just go away. But if that turned out to be incontrovertibly untrue, then I think it might cost him his job.
I think Brian Williams should return. Everybody loves a comeback kid. It'll make for a great story, and this will be a story he won't have to embellish.
Yeah, I think he's excellent at what he does as a researcher and a broadcaster, and we all do make mistakes, and it's not like the worst thing in the world, so yes, absolutely.
I think the suspension is a long period of time. As I said, I think it is fairly severe, and if he can indeed redeem himself and regain the public's trust, then I think he can and should be able to return as anchor.